Now, having exes is kind of annoying because you never know like how life is going to go for them in the future. But one thing I will say is that this one incident that ended up happening was super awkward to the point where I was chained to my ex for literally like 24 hours. How did this happen? Well, it all starts off back in my grade 11 year. Now, in grade 11, I was a major player, and I'm not going to lie, there was actually a moment in my grade 11 year where I ended up being in a relationship. This girl that I was dating was also a player, but she wasn't as crazy as I was. We're just going to call her Susie for this video, but her name's not actually that, so stop trying to find the girls that I talk to on the internet, please. It's kind of creepy and it's scaring the girls out that follow me on Instagram. No, seriously, just don't do it. It's actually super weird. But anyways, I remember my grade 11 year, me and Susie, we ended up breaking up on bad terms. Bad terms is not really the best way to put it, but basically I caught her cheating, so what I ended up doing back to her is cheating on her, and it kind of led to a serious mess, which for me and her, just to cope, we ended up just basically doing the devil's tango with each other's friends, and things got super messy. I'm not gonna lie, I don't regret doing this because it led me to who I am today, which is telling these embarrassing stories about me doing the devil's tango. But today is a different type of story. Anyways, going on, I remember the school year goes on, and it actually leads towards the end of my grade 11 year. Now, towards the end of the year of any school grade, I guess you could say, people start hosting parties, people start hosting, you know, fun events for people to go to. And I remember one time when I was sitting in my school cafeteria, one of my friends ends up walking up to me, which we'll call him Josh. Josh walks up to me saying, "Yo, bro, do you want to come to my party? I'm having a party literally this weekend, and I thought it'd be cool if you came." "Oh yeah, sure, I'm so down. Thanks, Josh," is what I told him. And then that's when he ended up giving me a warning. The warning he gave me was, "Bubba, I just want to let you know that your ex-girlfriend will be there. So like, you know, I'm not trying to make it weird or anything. If you don't want to go, it's all cool. But like, obviously it wouldn't be fair if I invited her and not you." At this point, I knew what he was trying to say, trying to keep the middle ground between all of us. Like, he's basically playing Sweden. So I ended up telling him, "Hey man, don't worry about it. I really don't mind." "Okay, sweet. I guess I'll see you there." Yeah, you'll see me there," is what I told him. And he ends up walking away. At that moment, 30 minutes later, right as like lunchtime was about to end, and 30 minutes later, I ended up getting a text message from Susie, literally texting me out of the blue after like months of not texting me, saying, "Bubba, I have a question." Yeah, what's up?" "Is it true that you're going to the party?" "Well, which party are you going to?" "Bubba, don't act like you go to all the parties. I'm talking about Josh's party." Yeah, he invited me, so I don't see why not." "Okay, well, would it be cool if you didn't go?" Why?" "Because like, I don't want you going there. It's gonna be like awkward. Like, I want to have a good time, and seeing your face kind of like doesn't let that happen." At this moment, she was trying to be sassy with me, so I ended up telling her how, you know, since I'm actually friends with Josh and she's not, there's no reason for her to go to the party and more reason for me to go. At this moment, obviously, she got even more sassy and started calling me ugly and started making fun of my eggplant size, even though I still hit at the end of the day. It ended up getting to a point where I ended up just muting her messages and totally just not answering her anymore until the day of the party. I remember the day of the party finally came, and basically I ended up getting ready at home, and I ended up driving over to Josh's house later that night. When I got to Josh's place, I ended up seeing a lot of my buddies already at the front door, and a lot of them actually recognized the sound of my car. So when they heard me pulling in, they ended up getting really excited. What car did I have, by the way? It wasn't anything crazy. It was a Toyota Celica GT, and the only reason why it was somewhat loud was because I took off the muffler on it. Car guys, if you know what that means, then you understand it. If you don't, then, you know, search it up. I really don't want to explain car stuff on this channel. I'm here just to tell you guys my embarrassing moment. Anyways, I remember I ended up going inside this party with all my friends, and right away, guess who I saw? Susie. Susie looks at me and she's like, "Bubba, are you serious? You actually showed up?" Yeah. Why wouldn't I? Josh invited me as well." "Okay, well, just don't be annoying, okay? Seriously." She ends up walking away from me after, and I thought I would not see her for the rest of the night, when in reality, that was totally false. Because I remember random moments, girls would walk up to me, bringing up Susie, and it became super awkward to the point where I ended up even walking up to Susie, and I told her, "Yo, can you like not tell people that we used to date? Like, it's kind of ruining my game." "Bubba, you don't even have game. What are you on about?" At this point, me and Susie got into an argument, and it got to the point where we started getting really loud at this party. So my buddy Josh ended up thinking it was a funny idea to basically make us both go into a room together and talk it through. And how did he do this? Well, he literally ended up grabbing me and this girl's wrist, and we ended up getting dragged into a bedroom, and he ended up closing the door. And right when I thought this was dumb and I ended up wanting to walk out, I realized that the door was locked. What kind of house has a door that locks from the outside? Like, it's kind of bizarre, but I mean, whatever, Josh. I guess I'm stuck in here with my ex-girlfriend. So at that moment, me and her, we started like talking and stuff, and you know, I started like telling her how like, you know, she's super annoying, and it was pretty obvious that me and her weren't going anywhere with our conversation. It got to the point where the whole party outside even started to get really quiet just to hear how me and Susie were yelling at each other. I remember it got to a point where Susie was getting really mad, so she ended up slamming on the door and basically yelling that she'll call the cops if she doesn't get let out. And that's where things kind of ended up getting really weird. And this is where everything kind of goes to, like, I guess the poop, I would say, on this channel, because my buddy Josh ends up opening the door, except this time he ended up opening it and he ended up handcuffing me and my ex-girlfriend together. Yeah, he literally handcuffs us like right in front of everyone at the party. And I ended up telling him how like this was really dumb and how, you know, just unlock us. He ends up grabbing the key and he ends up throwing it down the toilet and flushing it. So there was no possible way that me and Susie could, you know, fix everything. So then there was no possible way for me and Susie to get unhandcuffed. I got really upset at this moment and I started yelling at Josh as Susie also started yelling at Josh, and people started making, you know, claims at the party that we looked really cute arguing at someone else together instead of at each other. Whoop-de-doo. Thanks, guys, at that party. Seriously, I love each and every single one of you guys. You guys suck. I hate you. I guess still to this day, I get really upset at that moment, but things get even worse because me and Susie, we didn't know what to do when the party was like kind of dying down, and people were just making fun of us at that party the whole time, to the point where Susie looked at me and she said, "Baba, can we just get out of here?" "Yeah, we can, but like, what do you want to do? We're handcuffed to each other." "I don't know. We can just like go back to your place." "You want to go back to my place?" "Well, yeah, dummy. We can't go back to mine. My parents would kill me if they knew I was talking to you again." "Your parents would kill me? I was amazing to you." "Yeah, until I told them what you did." "Why would you tell your parents that I did the devil's tango with one of your friends? Like, are you insane?" And that leads me to say another thing. Girls, if you're ever in a relationship with a guy, I understand that you're close with your parents, but whatever happens between you guys, good or bad, stays between you and your significant other, okay? It does not lead to your parents. It did not lead to your friends. It does not even lead to your grandma 6 feet under, okay? Like, seriously, no one cares. Anyways, me and Susie, we ended up going back to my place and we ended up basically laying down on my bed and we started like basically talking somewhat about our relationship that we had. And we both knew that like it was never gonna work out and how it was not a good idea. And we both made sure that the next day at school, since the party was on a Sunday, which was really weird, but going on, that the next day at school, we would go up to Josh and make him unhandcuff us in some way. So the next day we woke up, we got ready, we took a shower together, which to be fair was really awkward showering with a person without doing the devil's tango. And then me and her, we ended up getting in my car and driving to school. It was really awkward driving to school, knowing that you're not allowed to use the other hand, and taking left turns was really scary. But when we finally got to school, I remember me and Susie, we walked up to Josh and we told him, "Yo, bro, you gotta handcuff us. Like, this is seriously dumb." "Wait, you guys are still handcuffed? That's crazy. I thought you guys would figure it out by now." "Okay, very funny, Josh. Just unhandcuff us," is what I told him. And then afterwards, Susie started full on yelling at him to the point where Josh freaks out and says, "Well, to be honest, there's only one way to unhandcuff you guys, but you guys have to come to my place in like 13 hours from now." 13 hours from now? Why are we going to your house at 1 a.m. is what I asked him. And that's when he told me that his dad, who was a cop, gets off shift that has the spare key. Kind of sucked, but I mean, it was what it was. I remember that whole school day. It was super awkward because me and Susie would go to class together and I would have to skip one class. She skipped one class for me. And it literally got to the point where going to the bathroom, we had to use the all gender bathroom that we had in our school. That basically led us to having to watch each other pee, which to be fair, since we dated, it wasn't that awkward, I guess, to ourselves. But since we weren't dating anymore, kind of became a bit awkward. I don't know. It was a really weird situation. I will say that. And getting handcuffed to your ex leads to really weird conversations. And, you know, it led to us talking about like how her parents missed me and how I missed her and, you know, all that stuff. Not that I actually miss her anymore. Like, even though now I'm single, like, you know, it didn't mean I missed her, but you know, never mind. Going on, the main part of the end of the story was when we went to Josh's house. So let me explain that. Late at night that day, we ended up going back to my place and my mom found it really weird how I was handcuffed to a girl. So my mom ends up looking at me and she's like, "Bubba, why are you handcuffed to her? Isn't this your ex-girlfriend?" "Oh, yeah, mom, it's for a science experiment. Just don't worry about it." We ended up going in my room, waiting till time struck, you know, like 1 a.m. And we ended up driving to Josh's house that day. And when we got to Josh's place, I remember we parked my car in front of his house. And that's when we ended up seeing Josh's dad literally pulling up behind me, parking his car. And he ends up looking at me saying, "Hey, excuse me, you know I live here." And, "Oh, Bubba, what are you doing here?" "Oh, hey, Mr. Josh's dad." I'm not going to say his last name, obviously. Josh ended up handcuffing us after this party. And I was wondering if it's like possible you could get your spare key and unhandcuffing us. "Wait, Josh had a party?" Yeah, I guess Josh wasn't really smart telling us what time his dad came home because we ended up telling him everything about how he had a party and stuff. So not only did me and Susie ended up getting a really hard time, Josh also got in trouble. Yeah, I guess it taught Josh not to use his dad's handcuffs, and it led to me and Susie realizing that even if we were handcuffed together for 24 hours, we would still and most definitely never date again. But if you guys enjoyed the story, click on one of the videos on screen and follow for more embarrassing stories just like this one. Peace out, guys.